Hi guys, Onesie here, not Red, not any of the other various assorted characters you've seen across the OnesieBanette extended universe recently. Just popping in this week to say that there's not going to be any story segments or a team builder this week just because I simply ran out of time. I've got some very important story moments and some filming planned for week 5 that have taken a lot of my resources, and planning it has been a bit of a pain. And alongside with doing the editing for the Heat of the Week series and the other various stuff going on in my personal life, I just haven't had time to finish everything, basically. So, yeah, this is an incredible game. I've managed to narrate it with Raihan and Professor Oak this week, so it's going to be very, very entertaining, very back and forth. There's some incredible moments in it, and it's still going to be fantastic. If you do want to know the team, hop down into the description. I'll leave a paste bin to the team so you can see exactly what I've brought. I might even pop a few comments on why I brought what I brought, but yeah. Just apologies, but yeah, this is a fantastic game. I really hope you enjoy it, and yeah, much love. Thank you. Well, Cobra-Con, we have to stop running into each other like this. My name, of course, as you're probably well aware of by now, is Raihan, and I'm going to be your commentator for today's fabulous action. But of course, as always, I am not alone this evening again. I am joined today by, quite frankly, one of the most amazing minds in the Pokemon universe ever. Your homeroom teacher, Cobra-Con's finest, Professor Samuel Oak. How the devil are you, Sam?
Thank you, Cobra-Con. It's splendid to be with you all here today. I am doing very well, Raihan, although I would rather you call me Professor Oak rather than Samuel. I am still your teacher after all. My bad, Professor. Of course, I'll make sure to keep it strictly professional. Now today we're here to bear witness to two fantastic coaches duking it out in a very, very powerful no-holds-barred game. On one side we have Vepsis and the Helsinki Heidreigons, and on the other, Cobra-Con's very own Red Sugimori and the Solihull Skarmours. Professor, how do you see this game going? Well, Raihan, I'm not gonna lie to you. As much as I have a soft spot for Mr. Red Sugimori, I do believe he's got a very difficult task ahead of him. Vepsis' draft has lots of answers to a lot of the things that are on Red's draft, so it's going to be very difficult for Cobra-Con's finest to break him down. However, with my tutelage, of course I believe he can get the job done here today.
Well, I'm glad someone here believes in him. What about you, crowd? What do you think? Do you think Red can bring home the glory today? I said, do you think he can bring home the win today? That's what I like to hear, Cobra-Con. Now it looks like both of our combatants are ready, so let's head over to the stadium and give our boy Red one last cheer of support, shall we? And Vepsis is going to send out his first Pokemon, which is going to be Swampert, as Red leads off with Clara, the Galarian Weezing. Sam, this doesn't look like a very good matchup for Mr. Weezing now, does it?
Raihan, I've already told you, call me Professor. And no, it doesn't necessarily look the best for Weezing, but Swampert can't really hurt Galarian Weezing very well either. And as we can see, Galarian Weezing is going to go right for a taunt from the first turn, completely shutting down the Stealth Rocks from the Swampert. So Red has obviously done his homework there and managed to get a very favourable turn 1.
Absolutely, Professor. That's fantastic preparation. And Clara the Galarian Weezing is going to go for a fast Will-O-Wisp, which is going to cut this Swampert's physical attack in half right from the get-go. Very, very good when it's got such a good offensive profile. But the Swampert's going to go right for a flip turn and get itself out of this unfavourable matchup. Pretty smart from Vepsis, if I'm being honest.
Well, that just shows the importance of momentum moves. Moves like Flip Turn, Volt Switch and U-Turn are very important in this current metagame of Pokemon. They do a bit of damage and let you pivot out into offensive threats, just like Vepsis is doing here by going out into Tornadus Therian, which is going to threaten out Galarian's Weezing very, very, very heavily here.
Absolutely, and understandably, Red's not going to want any of that and is going to choose to hard switch out into Heatran over here. Wait, why does Heatran not have a nickname? What's going on here? Either way, this Heatran without a nickname is going to take that Psychic very, very well, and is going to get a little bit of health back from the leftovers. So, pretty successful switch all in all, and you'd think that gives Red the momentum again in the game.
Oh, Red, what's wrong with you? You have to nickname your Pokemon. How else are you going to form bonds with them? I'm disappointed in you, not only as a teacher, but as a friend as well.
Damn, that's a bit harsh, isn't it, Professor?
Right, Han, we won't be getting anywhere while we're being mollycoddled. You have to be stern, you have to be tough on your trainers if you want them to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Is that a reference to something, Professor?
I don't know. It just kind of felt right to say in the moment. Anyway, it looks like Tornadus is not going to really appreciate this matchup. I don't believe it can one-shot Heatran with any one of its single attacks, so it's kind of forced here to either switch out or risk getting hit with a powerful Magma Storm. And I certainly wouldn't want to take that.
Well, apparently neither does this Tornadus, as it's going to switch on right on out of dodge and go back out into Steve the Swampert, who presumably is going to take this Magma Storm very, very well. Swampert is a very, very bulky Pokemon after all, and that Magma Storm did the square root of absolutely fuck all.
Right, Han, what's your language? You're speaking at an institution for learning in front of nearly 1,000 students. I don't want to be hearing you use words like that ever again.
Damn, you really won't let me have any fun now, will ya? Anyway, that Swampert really took nothing from that, so one would assume it's going to just be able to set up its Stealth Rocks pretty freely, wouldn't you?
Yes, exactly. As we see, the Heatran is not going to want to stay in there against the water and a ground type. That would be, quite frankly, the stupidest decision ever. And we're going to see Iron Hands switch in? What is the thought behind that? And Swampert is going to be able to set up its Stealth Rocks completely freely. So now we have an Iron Hands in against what appears to be a burned Swampert. This is a very strange turn of events, isn't it?
Yeah, I really don't understand that one myself. Maybe Red thinks that he can take on the Swampert with the health that it's got left. Maybe he thinks that the burn's going to let it take a couple of hits. I don't know. Either way, we are going to see the Iron Hands be very ballsy here and set up Swords Dance in front of the Swampert. But the Swampert's going to go for Flip Turn. It is not risking any kind of weakness policy shenanigans here now, is it?
I have to say, that's a very smart play from Vepsis. Instead of risking accidentally activating any kind of weakness policy shenanigans, Vepsis has decided to make a mid-ground play and go for a Flip Turn. It's worked out splendidly and it should allow Vepsis to send in an offensive threat to threaten out this Iron Hands. Very smart. I guess that's why these people are in this competition, wouldn't you agree?
Well, the best players make the best plays, and the play that Vepsis is going for here is to send in Ogerpon. And this is a very, very dangerous Pokemon for Red to have against him here. It threatens Iron Hands out with super effective play roughs. But at +2, Drain Punch should do a lot. But Vepsis brings out the Encore! An excellent bring here from Vepsis, which completely shuts down Iron Hands, forcing it to Swords Dance on repeat. Brilliant preparation from Red's opponent.
That Encore has completely turned the tides of this matchup. Iron Hands looked like it was about to smash through Vepsis' team, taking at least one or two Pokemon out with it. And now, Vepsis is completely free to do whatever he wants with a massive threat. Ogerpon looks very dangerous, and being allowed to have a free turn on it is the last thing Red wants.
Precisely, Professor, and Red's going to switch out the Iron Hands and try and pivot around into Heatran here, potentially expecting a play rough, maybe trying to snag a Flame Body Burn. But Ogerpon is going to read that and go for the freest spikes in the world! That's going to put massive pressure down onto Red's team. Every time he switches, he's going to take massive damage. And the leftovers are going to get him a bit of that health back, but it's only going to mitigate the Stealth Rock damage. Now Red's going to choose his switches very carefully. This Ogerpon is really putting the hurt down, and it's not even clicked an attacking move yet. And from a failed prediction, Red has to switch again and take more entry hazard damage and an Ivy Cudgel still.
And the choice of switch is going to be to go into Galarian Weezing Clara to take it. And this Ivy Cudgel is not going to be very easy to take. Weezing does take one, but it doesn't take it very well, does it?
Not even slightly, Raihan. I can see the logic behind trying to pivot into Heatran to snag a Flame Body Burn, but all it's done is allow it to get free spikes up and take even more damage. All in all, Red's being played for a fiddle at the moment. He's going to have to take some very big initiative if he wants to try and win this game.
Well, initiative's all well and good to say, but it's very difficult to get when you're staring down an Ogerpon. But he is going to at least force it off the field and bring in the Swampert, which is going to switch in and take a Pain Split to the face, healing up the Weezing, and, you know, that's always good for longevity. But what it does do, unfortunately, is put the Swampert into Citrus Berry range, meaning it can switch in and take more hits and pivot around the place like it's its bloody own.
In case you didn't know, Citrus Berry is one of the most important and effective items in Draft League. The sudden burst of health it gives you can put you out of range of some very significant damage calculations, and that can be crucial in making you get the win. Well, Weezing is now going to throw out a Sludge Bomb, trying to chip this Swampert down a little bit, and put it in range of Iron Hands for later on. But Swampert, of course, is just going to go for a flip turn, getting more momentum and allowing Vepsis to pivot out into one of his bigger threats.
Listen up, students. If you want a crash course on how to use a Pokemon effectively, you're getting one right now. Vepsis is getting incredible mileage out of this Swampert. It's taken a burn, it's soaked up several very key important attacks, it's set up entry hazards, and it's been able to pivot around into some very important offensive threats. This is getting incredible mileage out of a Pokemon, and it shows Vepsis' strength as a trader. Well, one of Vepsis' other strengths is his ability to draft a powerful team, because he's able to bring out monsters like this Heidreigons onto the field, which I'm looking at Red's team, he does not have a switch for at all. He doesn't have a cut and dry way of switching into this thing at all. Well, it looks like Red doesn't even want to try and switch. He's going to stay in on the Flash Cannon, eat up a Berry Berry and live the hit on 33 health. That's a pretty decent bit of prep if I do say so myself. But he's going to go for the Pain Split and get a big chunk of damage off and some health back. But that tells me that this Galarian Weezing doesn't have a fairy move to try and hit this fucking thing with.
Raihan, language! I've told you twice now.
Sorry, Professor. I can't help myself. I get too into the action. I feel like I'm back home watching a Galarian minor leagues again.
Never mind the minor leagues. If you keep swearing, you'll have a major case of detention.
That was awful, Professor.
Well, I thought it was funny. Anyway, Galarian Weezing isn't going to want to stay in now, having popped its Berry Berry, and Red is going to send in the ever-reliable Heatran, which unfortunately is going to take a bunch of entry hazard damage, but is also going to take this Flash Cannon very, very well, doing very minimal damage. The special defense drop is very unfortunate, but I don't think it really matters too much in this scenario here, does it, Raihan?
No, it does not. But what it does mean is Red's got to make a bit of a decision here. This Heidreigon has only used Flash Cannon for 3 turns in a row. What that means is Red hasn't seen it switch up moves, and it means the Heidreigon could very well still be a Choice Scarf or a Choice Spec set. Red's going to make a decision on whether he thinks it is. And if I was him, I would be not risking it this early in the game. I wouldn't risk this Heidreigon having Earth Power and taking out my Heatran. And Red is not going to take that risk. He's going to switch out into Basculegion, which you should think is going to be able to take this hit very, very well. It's going to take unfortunate amounts of entry hazard damage again. These hazards are really causing damage, but we are going to see the Earth Power come out, so Red at least does get the prediction correct and does call out that the Heidreigon is not choice item. It can switch up moves. We've seen Flash Cannon, we've seen Earth Power, we haven't seen the other two. No idea what that could be. And Vepsis is not going to want to stay in against this Basculegion, which has proven itself to be a very powerful threat. And he's going to switch on hard out into the Ogerpon, which is going to take this Ice Beam, presumably very well. And it does. But it freezes! Oh my word, that is huge! That is going to completely incapacitate one of Vepsis' biggest defensive threats here. That is massive for Red in this game. That could be a crucial turning point.
It could indeed, Raihan. That is huge.
Last week we did see Red, of course, take a very, very unfortunate freeze on his Bishop. This week, it's Red getting the freezes. He really needs to push home this advantage, though. He needs to make sure that he can push forward and get some kind of value out of the free turns this will generate. How will he do that?
It looks like he's just going to go for an Ice Beam again, trying to take out this Ogerpon, which is still going to be frozen solid. That's very unfortunate for Vepsis.
It seems like Red's worried that the Ogerpon might thaw out and take out the Basculegion,
Meaning that Red doesn't really have any option here other than to just press home the attack. It's not what I would do, but in this scenario it does make sense at least. Exactly, Professor, and if I were Vepsis I would be very happy to just let this Ogerpon go down, as Vepsis seems to be very, very happy to do, staying in, taking another Ice Beam and remaining frozen, meaning the Basculegion has successfully 1v1 this Ogerpon through the sheer luck of being able to snag a freeze. That's very fortunate. And one more Ice Beam is going to take out the Ogerpon, which is a huge threat to Red Sugimori's team. Handled, and handled easily. Obviously, it's very unfortunate about the freeze, but, you know, unfortunately, it's just the game that we partake in.
I'll be honest with you, Raihan. I'm not sure that Red took advantage of that situation as best as he could. If I was Red, I would have switched into my Garchomp and started setting up to try and do damage. Potentially go for a sweep right here. By not doing that, he's allowed Vepsis to choose his switch in easily.
I suppose you're correct, because Vepsis is going to send out Tiffany Case to Diancie here. And unfortunately, as we've seen earlier, Red is choice scarfed into Ice Beam, meaning he's not going to really be doing any damage to this Diancie now, is he? And Red's going to take this opportunity to withdraw the Basculegion and switch out into, we're going to see Clara, the Galarian Weezing, hitting the field once more. Going to take some more Stealth Rock damage. But Diancie's going to go for Trick Room. This is not great. This could be very bad. That kind of proves that this is an offensive Diancie. And Galarian Weezing doesn't have the greatest special defense if it chooses to go for some kind of stab here. And it charges up a Meteor Beam. This is surely going to take out Weezing.
You would think so, wouldn't you, Raihan? It's going to fully power itself with the Power Herb and fire off a very powerful Meteor Beam, which does land a critical hit, but that does not matter. And down goes Clara, the Galarian Weezing. And Red's in a bind right now.
Well, Red's going to choose his answer to this thing, and that answer's going to be Bishop. Jasmine the Bishop coming out, taking another 2 rounds of entry hazard damage. But, in theory, Bishop should threaten out this Diancie and at least stop it in its tracks for now. Threaten it out with powerful Stab Iron Head. That should at least put an end to the Diancie's reign of terror for the immediate future, anyway. But of course, there is always the threat of terrestrialization on this Diancie. It's one of Vepsis' Terror Captains, and it's going to terror itself into a Water type, meaning it terrors itself out of the bad Steel matchup. It now resists Steel, and it's going to go for an Earth Power. This might take out Bishop. Bishop does live on 10 health, but it's going to go for an Iron Head, which is going to do nothing. And this Diancie is still wreaking havoc. That is a very dangerous looking Diancie here. It's Terra Water. It can't be revenged by Bishop. It's rampaging through Red's team. How does he stop this?
Unfortunately, Raihan, the only way that I can see Red stopping this is by letting Diancie claim a couple of KOs and trying to revenge it afterwards. But at +1, with the Meteor Beam boost, this Diancie is going to be doing a lot of damage. I don't see how he can actually stop it.
And we're going to see the terror from Bishop here, potentially terroring into a flying type to remove its earth weakness. And that's exactly what we see here. Potentially trying to catch the Diancie before it's able to hit it with another earth power. And we're also going to see it go for a Sucker Punch, getting a little bit of damage off before it goes down. But it's going to be hit with a Moonblast and faint here. Bishop has at the very least stalled out a couple of turns of Trick Room here, meaning Diancie's going to be outsped in at least another turn. But it's taken out 2 very crucial members of his team here. This thing's got a lot of mileage out of it. It's a fantastic bring here from Vepsis. Fantastic prep from him. And Red's going to send out Iron Hands against the Diancie? I don't understand that one. Maybe he thinks that he can lift the Moonblast or the Earth Power. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's trying to do some dancing around and try and bait Vepsis into using a specific attack to get a good matchup against it. I'm not too sure here. And Red's going to pull an immediate double switch, kind of confirming he's just trying to dance around the Diancie and force KOs onto specific Pokemon. He's going to send out Heatran here, which is going to take the hit fairly well after 2 hits of Stealth Rocks. But no! Vepsis predicts that and goes for Earth Power, taking out Heatran too! Vepsis and Diancie are on a roll right now!
Diancie has been fantastic for Vepsis so far in this game, but it's not over yet. Iron Hands comes in here, and we now know for sure that this Iron Hands outspeeds Diancie and should be able to finish it off from where it is. This is going to be a very crucial turn for Red. He does still have the opportunity to win this game. With a severely weakened team, Garchomp should be able to clean up late game. It's all about how Red can play this final few turns. Can he get the sweep? Vepsis is going to withdraw the Diancie here and is going to go out into Steve the Swampert, who once again Vepsis has got fantastic mileage out of and forces the Iron Hands to Thunder Punch into an immunity. That is fantastic play once again from Vepsis, proving that he absolutely is one to watch in the season so far. Oh, Raihan, I haven't been this excited since I was doing my own league challenge many years ago. This has been an exciting watch. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Hey, don't be saying thank you to me just yet. We've still got plenty of action left here to go. Who's going to take this victory? Will it be Red? Will it be Vepsis? It could go either way, genuinely. Iron Hands is just going to go straight for a Drain Punch here, getting a little bit of health back, maybe putting it out of range of some important attacks later. And this Swampert's going to respond with an Earthquake. It is a super effective hit, but remember, Swampert is burnt from the Will-O-Wisp earlier in the game. But this super effective Earthquake is going to activate the weakness policy, doubling Iron Hands' attack stats. That means it could potentially just rip through another couple of Pokemon here. It should be able to outspeed and KO this Swampert with another Drain Punch. And knowing Red, the way he builds his Iron Hands, he should be able to take a hit from Tornadus as well. He's going to go for a Drain Punch here to finish off the Swampert and get a little bit more health back. Now listen up, students. This is very important. This Iron Hands is currently at 201 hit points. If my calculations are correct, Tornadus Therian can never, ever defeat and knock out this Iron Hands from the range that it's at with one single attack. I know Red's sets here. Red has built his Iron Hands with a lot of special defense, meaning it can take a super effective Psychic from Tornadus very well. As long as the Tornadus is not Choice Specs. If it is Choice Specs, Iron Hands will not live. But this is going to come down to whether it is or whether it isn't. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. Vepsis is going to send out Kazuha, the Tornadus Therian, potentially trying to put this theory to the test. Will Iron Hands live a hit from the Tornadus? It should do, according to Professor Oak's damage calculations. We're going to see the Psychic come out here. Does Hands live? It does not! Iron Hands is taken out. That's a Specs Tornadus, meaning it's Garchomp as the last Pokemon alive against 4 important team members here. Can it do it? It has the offensive tools to be able to. Can Garchomp bring it home? And here we go. Raihan the Garchomp, the best nicknamed Pokemon in the entire league, is on the field. It takes entry hazard damage, and now it surely has to scale shot against the world. And Tornadus is going to outspeed and go for a Psychic here, which does a significant chunk of damage here. And Garchomp is going to go for a Scale Shot. Of course, it does have the loaded dice, so no matter what, This Garchomp is getting 4 hits on its Scale Shot. It's going to increase its speed. It's going to get the 5 hit, meaning it takes out Tornadus in 1 attack rather than having to use 2. So Garchomp still has a massive chance here.
As long as Garchomp is able to hit all of its Scale Shots, it should take the game. Hydrapple does not live a hit. Hydreigon does not live a hit. And it's only the Diancie that really has a chance of living an attack from this Pokemon. Can Raihan the Garchomp bring it home?
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Tiffany Case, the Diancie, is on the field to try and salvage the game for Vepsis. Does the Diancie have enough defense investment to live a hit from this Garchomp? Scale Shot looks like it's a very powerful attack. Does it have enough juice to get this team over the line? Remember, Garchomp needs to land 5 Scale Shot hits to get this. It's got the 2. It lands 3. It lands 4. We need a 5th. Does it get it? It doesn't get it. Meaning Vepsis' Diancie lives the hit and should finish off Garchomp. It goes for Trick Room, meaning that Garchomp is not going to outspeed and Diancie is going to be able to finish the game off with an Earthquake next turn. There's only Garchomp and Basculegion left on the field, and I don't think that's going to be enough to bring it home for Red Sugimori here. He can't stall out 5 turns in Trick Room, and Moonblast is going to finish off Garchomp. What an unfortunate turn of events here.
Oh, how unfortunate was that. Red would have been able to finish off the remaining 2 Pokemon with Garchomp as well. He's literally lost this on a 50-50. How unfortunate. And unless Vepsis had some kind of crazy prep on the Hydrapple and the Hydreigon, then Garchomp would have took it home. But Diancie is going to finish it off with a Moonblast, and that is going to be the end for Red Sugimori. And Vepsis and the Helsinki Heidreigons are going to take the W here.
Whew. Well, Professor, I think I need to go and get myself a Long Guard beverage to cool down after that one. That was a sensational game. Really end to end. It could have gone either way right at the death there. How unfortunate for Red that he only got the 4-hit Scale Shot. But once again, he's pushed a fantastic battler right to the edge here. He's really showing Kobakon off in a good light, isn't he?
As his friend and mentor, I could not be prouder of what Red has accomplished here today. He has been sensational. He's performed admirably for someone who's going up against people he's never heard of before. And quite frankly, he's showing Kobakon in a fantastic light. Let's get one more cheer for Red Sugimori, everybody!
I think that reaction from the crowd says it all, don't you? Well, that's it from us here today. I have been Raihan, joined by the fabulous Professor Oak, and this has been Week 4 of the Pokemon Premier League. Join us next week for yet another scintillating battle. Goodbye, everybody.